So I'm Mike Farnsworth. I'm from Southwell in Nottinghamshire, and I'm here to tell you a bit about my story. So just before Christmas I was involved in a head-on car crash where another vehicle lost control and hit me sort of head-on. I was trapped in the vehicle and cut out by the fire brigade. I was taken to A&E, where I spent some time in the hospital. After I left the hospital, I suffered terribly with damage to my neck and lumbar spine. I really needed some help from the medical profession. I contacted the hospital at the BMI, and they recommended Mr Shafafy as a lead surgeon. I went to see Mr Shafafy for a first consultation. He was a very personal guy. I think he could see that I was in a bit of a mess. And despite my motivation and hope that I could avoid surgery, sometimes you have to just accept that surgery is the only way forwards if you want to get better. And I knew that I couldn't carry on in that kind of state. So I agreed with Mr Shafafy's advice to undergo the surgery. So the surgery was quite major. The first surgery that I underwent was in my lumbar spine. I had a replacement disc in one of my discs, and then I had 2 discs fused together. So following the surgery, it was quite an uncomfortable time, particularly the first week. But the recommendation is to get up and mobile quite quickly. So literally a day after the surgery, I remember Mr Shafafy coming to see me in the morning and saying, "Today we're going to get you up." And I remember thinking that maybe that was just a step too far, but I do remember the first time I sat up, and I do remember it being quite a great feeling. So I was in hospital over Christmas for the surgery, and I remember one of the biggest achievements following the surgery was there was a Christmas tree just at the other end of the ward, and I remember thinking to myself, I have to get to the Christmas tree. And it was such a great feeling. It was probably only 10 steps, but just to be able to get to the Christmas tree and back to my bed, it was such a good feeling, and knowing that that was the beginning of my journey to getting better. So prior to the surgery, I was really nervous about making a decision, and one of the things that worried me so much is that I had always been really quite active. I'd done triathlons before, and I liked getting out on my mountain bike. And although I wasn't fit enough and well because I was in a really bad way, Mr Shafafy really had quite high hopes that with the right attitude and motivation, I could get back to fitness levels that I had pre-accident. And I remember saying to him, "What is the chances of me climbing Mount Kilimanjaro?" And I guess somebody else might have said that I was being too ambitious, but Mr Shafafy said that, you know, with the right attitude, treatment and follow-up, that I really ought to be able to get myself to the top. And it was such an amazing feeling knowing that less than a year before I'd had really major surgery, and there I was at the top of Africa, you know, looking down over the plains, and it felt like a real achievement. I remember feeling really proud of myself and of my family and the surgeons and people that had helped me along that journey. And also great because I raised quite a lot of money for charity to do the trek. There was a lot of people that had known what I'd gone through and what it had meant to me to be able to get up there. And I supported Water Aid, and I raised over £8,000. It was a really, really good thing. I thought, you know, if I can do Kilimanjaro, there's so many other things that I could be doing. I really wanted to help others, so I decided that I would start doing walking challenges and raise money at the same time. So following Kilimanjaro, I decided I wanted to walk across Scotland. This year I decided that I would walk across the Wadi Rum Desert. I've always wanted to go to the Great Wonders of the World. So I started off and I went to see the Colosseum in Rome, and then I wanted to walk the Inca Trail. I remember the first time I met Mr Shafafy, and he had just finished surgery with a patient overnight from a major trauma at the accident and emergency. And I remember thinking how amazing he was to have worked through the night on another patient to make sure that that patient survived, and then was still able to get up in the morning and do his consultations. And I knew that I was dealing with a guy at that stage that wasn't just a normal surgeon.